Hi Dollar Divas, welcome back to my channel. So this is my first video back in a minute. I was on vacation, plus some other things happened, and so it's been a little over a week. So I thought I'd come back with a chatty get ready with me and catch you guys up. Use some kind of forgotten makeup. Recently did a declutter and a couple of you requested that I use some of the makeup that was in my declutter because there's so much stuff that, you know, we don't use. So I pulled out some products from there. So we're just gonna be doing a makeup look, and I'm just gonna be chatting with you about my recent trip. So yeah, I thought this was a good way to come back. So if you're returning, thank you so much for coming on back. I have missed you all very, very, very much while I've been gone. And if you are new, my name is Jessica. And generally I like to do a lot of dollar store or Dollar Tree oriented makeup and shopping content. So if that's your thing, you're in the right place. I will do a chatty get ready with me from time to time to update you guys on life and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, if any of that sounds good, definitely make sure you subscribe and become a Dollar Diva. So yes, we have lots of chatting to do, so let's just go ahead and get into today's video. So for brows, I'm gonna be using the LA Colors brow pen. I have used this once I think I got this at, I think it was Family Dollar. Like I said, some long forgotten makeup we're gonna try to dig into today. So I went up to New Hampshire for a week to see my best friend. I'll kind of give you some backstory. So my friend Kim, you know, I live in Tennessee now, but I am originally from Massachusetts. And I moved down here when I was 20 years old. That was 18 years ago, almost 18 years ago. So I've lived here now almost about half my life. Anyways, I digress. So I am from Massachusetts. I grew up right outside of Boston. And so every summer, my dad, my parents, we went camping, and not like, you know, not like tent camping, not like where we motor home, go across the country, but my parents found a seasonal campground. I guess when I was really, really little. I don't know if they were doing it a little bit before I was born, but when I was really little. So we were at this campground. I was 1 and 2 years old when my parents were at this campground. I barely remember it, up in New Hampshire. So they were at this campground and they met this couple that had a son that was a little bit older than me, and they became friends. So my parents and this other couple decided to move to another campground. So we ended up moving to this campground, and this is the campground I ended up spending from like 3 years old all the way up until I moved here. Every single summer we would go to this campground. So anyway, so they had a little girl, and she's about a year older than my brother, and who became my friend Kim. So I essentially have known Kim like my whole life. Like, well, her whole life, almost my whole life. So like I said, I camped at this campground. Basically, like, my mom didn't work and her mom didn't work. I'm gonna go in with some eyeshadow primer on my lids. It's just the Urban Decay Primer Potion. Change my stance on primer. I do feel like I notice a difference with my eyeshadow that I don't know if it lasts longer, but it definitely goes on more pigmented. So my mom and her mom did not work. So both of our dads, they worked, and so they would pretty much, like, when school got out, up until when school went back in session, we literally lived there in the summertime. So we lived there from like the very end of June to, you know, like Labor Day weekend. There was some other people that did that. We were kind of a couple of the few that stayed there like all the time. And then, you know, there was a lot of people that would come up on weekends, maybe spend the occasional week. And there were a lot of people that were there for years like we were. I'm gonna clean up my brows with the Believe Beauty concealer. This is in Biscuit. I had mentioned I had only used this once when I did my declutter. So I'm gonna try to give it a try again. So, you know, there were lots of people that came and went from the campground, but lots of relationships stayed, you know what I mean? Lots of relationships grew stronger, and, you know, next thing you know, 16 years has flown by, and this campground was a huge part of my life. Like, I lived just outside of Boston, but I did not live in the suburbs. And, you know, I would go to school, but I didn't do a lot of hanging out the city that I lived in, you know what I mean? You know, and I developed a love for the country, you know, kind of back then. You know, I loved being in the woods and trees and all that kind of thing. So I was, you know, born and raised in the city, kinda, but I'm really not a city girl. I guess a good portion of my life I spent in the country. So me and my friend Kim, you know, we spent years together, you know, at this camp, and just became really close. And then it got to where I would go to her house. She lived about 30, 40 minutes away. And yeah, we just had this like lifelong friendship. So we're still friends to this day, needless to say. she comes down here and visits me, and I go up there and I visit her. So that's what I did. I visited her for the week. So she still has a camp up there with her parents. They're on a different site and things like that, but they still camp up there, which is just amazing. And she actually got married up there. So 7 years ago, my husband and I took a trip together and went up there for her wedding. And it had been many years since I had been back to the campground up until that point. So normally, because performing is the way it is, you don't get paid vacations and all that kind of thing. And then we're generally like dark, like we close our shows down generally in town in the winter months, like January, February. That's usually the time I would go up there and visit her, which is horrible in New England, horrible. And I always promised I would come in the summer, like come up there in the summertime so I could enjoy the campground and they don't have to drive me to the airport in snowstorms and all that kind of thing. So I finally did it this year. I made time. Last year was a really kind of a tough year, and I just realized how much of a workaholic I have been. So, and I haven't made time to, do things like that. So this year, there was no question about it. I was gonna go. I was gonna take the time off and I was gonna go. So I'm gonna be using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette today. I had bought this last year and really haven't used it a whole lot. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of dig into this today. And I don't really have a look in mind. I'm just gonna follow my heart and see what happens. My friend Kim and her husband, she now has a 2-year-old, came down and visited me here in November, which was amazing and awesome. And I always have a great time with them. But her husband is currently deployed, so he is gone all year. And I knew that this was the year I really needed to make it happen. So, I really wanted to go up and spend some time with her because it's a tough thing. It's important for her to have things in the year she looks forward to, to pass the time. So it also happened to be her anniversary week. So I was up there during what probably would have been a very hard time, kind of just mentally for her. So we got to visit. We also got to spend a couple days up at the campground, which was fun. So I got to see like her parents who I grew up with and get pictures with them because I realized I didn't have any pictures with them. Got to see another couple people that are still there that I grew up around. And of course, a lot of the people have come and gone, but there still are a few that are there. And it was just great to be up there and just kind of visit and not have cell service for a couple days. So to kind of show you what I've done so far, I went to the shade Dawn and then I went into the shade Destiny. And I think the next shade I'm gonna go into is Untamed. So then I spent the rest of the time, with her at her condo at home and everything, and got to meet some friends of hers that have been really, just pivotal in her life, especially since having a child and going through deployments and stuff. Just friends of hers that I'd heard so many great things about that I'd never met, and they'd never met me and heard so much about me. So we kind of realized, we got to figure out this week that we actually exist, you know what I mean? And it was really great. So I was supposed to come home on Thursday evening. I kind of scheduled my flight was like later in the day. That way I could spend more time, which normally isn't what I do. I normally fly in and fly out of places early. So on Thursday, my first flight was like pretty severely delayed, like an hour and a half delayed. That didn't really worry me. And if it was earlier in the day, I wouldn't mind, you know what I mean? Obviously delays happen, but I was a little concerned that if it delayed too much that I would miss the last flight back home. My layover was in Charlotte and I was really concerned I would miss my connecting flight and I wouldn't leave the airport and go get a hotel and then come back. I would spend the night in the airport. I did that several years ago, spent the night at the Chicago O'Hare Airport because for the same reason I missed a connecting flight coming home and just had to wait till the next morning, and I didn't really want to do that again, especially too, my friend was just, she was really, I'm usually upset when she leaves me here. That's usually a really bad day for me. It's not good. And it was really hard for me to leave. So the last thing I wanted was to end up stranded at the airport when I could have just spent another night. And I had an extra day, like a buffer. So I just went ahead and rescheduled my flight for the next morning. So now I'm gonna go into the shade Electric. The shade is absolutely gorgeous. It's, of course, what sells most of us on the palette. And I'm gonna use a wet brush and, just do my thing. So my flight was actually scheduled for 6 a.m. the next morning. Now, luckily, she lives about 20 minutes from the airport, and it's a regional airport, which means that 2 hour ahead of time stuff really does not apply. So I just aimed to get there about an hour before. So I woke up at 4 o'clock, went to the airport, and I was literally home. I was literally home by 10:30, 11 o'clock, or at least in the car to come home. It's then an hour drive to my house, but so needless to say that evening I was extremely exhausted. But it was great to spend another night. It was like a bonus night. Well, so I was gone from Friday to Friday. And on Tuesday morning, my mother-in-law passed away. And it was expected. She was almost 96 years old, and her and I actually almost share a birthday. Her birthday is September 30th, which is the day after mine. Same thing as my grandmother. My grandmother had the same birthday as well. So she was almost 96. And so she passed away. She did pass at home, which is exactly what she would have wanted. They had just gotten her kind of settled. And they thought it would be like anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks. Ended up being, I think, like less than 12 hours. So that happened while I was gone. So then I had to kind of wait to see when the service was. And it ended up being Saturday. So I was supposed to be back and work on Saturday, but of course I gave them the heads up that I wasn't gonna be able to be because my mother-in-law passed away, and she lives in Alabama, so we're about 4 hours away from where she lives. So, we were gonna spend the day going and all that kind of thing. So we did that yesterday, but when I'm filming this Sunday. I think this will actually go up on Monday, unless I work a miracle and get this up tonight. So that's what we did yesterday. So for eyeliner, you saw this in my recent declutter as well. I have not used it on my channel. It is the Maybelline Lasting Drama Gel Liner. So it comes with this little like tub of liner and a brush. And so I'm gonna use this today. So I don't know if y'all are doing the math at all, but my mother-in-law was 96. She was older when my husband came into the picture, as was my parents. My parents were in their 30s. There's an age difference between us. So he's older, so his family is older, and his sister actually is older than him, and she passed away last year. It was, I think, 1 day shy of a year to his mom. And I think I actually filmed a video last year because I couldn't go to the service because I was working. I could have actually I think I had the Motown show and the Magic show on Saturdays last year. I could have easily had taken off from the Motown show, but the Magic show, the girl that works the show with me was also out of town, and I didn't have a swing. I didn't have anyone that could fill in, so they would have had to have canceled the show if I wasn't there. So I did not go to my sister-in-law's service. So I'm gonna use these lashes. They were in my last Get Ready With Me video. They were from the brand La Flare from the Dollar Tree, and it's the style A019. These were really, really, really pretty. Of course, I'm gonna use my Ioni Lash Glue, so I'm gonna apply these and I will be right back. Okay, lashes are on. So of course we'll come back, finish the eyes, but I'm gonna move on to foundation. I'm gonna use this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. I wear the shade Soft Beige. Of course, if you watch that Declutter, which I will have linked down below, you'll see that some of the categories in my non-Dollar Tree makeup collection, because I have a lot of Dollar Tree makeup. I also have a video on that. I'll link down below, but just in case you're new and you've missed all that. But yeah, really, there are certain sections of my makeup collection that are pretty curated, and so I don't have an excess of foundations and things like that, which is really great. Lip products and palettes and blush and stuff is another story. So I will be returning to work on Tuesday, and I don't even know what to expect. I know there's a bunch of us just kind of all out this month at different times, so we're having different combinations of people and different numbers of people, specifically really girls, but we even have a guy that's out, and so I don't even know what I'm coming back into when I go back to work. It'll be interesting. We're professional though, we can handle it. Okay, I'm gonna put some of this concealer here under my eyes, and I'm just gonna use the other end, the small end of this beauty blender. This is the, I think, Lab 2 brand. You've seen them in my hauls. They're from the Dollar Tree, and they're kind of like these dual-ended sponges. I have not been to the Dollar Tree since I've been home because it's just been so crazy, so it's been a good couple of weeks. I do have a small walkthrough and a small haul, and I think I'm just gonna do a combined video of those things. So you'll see the walkthrough, and then you'll see what I purchased from the walkthrough. So getting into the swing of things is always difficult, especially at the beginning, but then I get back into the groove. You know how that is, I'm sure. So I'm gonna do blush first, and I almost decluttered this because I think I was using it as a lip product, and it was something I didn't really reach for, but it can also be used as a cheek color. So this is the Nude Sticks Gel Color Lip and Cheek Balm. This is in J Mama, and I decided we'll try it on the cheeks today and just kind of see. And I'm gonna put this on before I put on bronzer. This is actually, I thought this was retractable, but it's a sharpened product. Okay, I'm gonna use a stippling brush. I think that's the way to go on this. Kind of spread this out. I really do not have high hopes for this. First of all, I don't think I really care for this color. I think it's a little cool for me, but I just don't really know. I mean, I like a cream blush now, but I just don't really know about. I mean, it looks pretty. Okay. I mean, as long as the result is good. I still don't know that I will reach for this, really, but I did want to give it a try at the very least. So yeah, I mean, that looks nice. It's still really not like a color I would gravitate towards. It's very, very natural, but that's all right. Now I'm gonna go in with bronzer, and this is something I've only used once. It's the LA Color Shimmer Bronzer, and if you remember this from I think my full face of Dollar General, it had like a shimmer spray on it, and that's gone, so it's a matte bronzer now. And like I said, I'm trying to use things I've only used like once, or that you've never seen. So yeah, we ate lots of good food. You know, the way I live my life, because I live in a tourist town, but I also kind of live in the country. I don't do a lot of like DoorDash or stuff like that. Now my friend lives in a condo, and it looks like it's kind of country-esque, but she actually lives next to like a pretty like busy street, you know, so she's really convenient to like everything. She literally can like walk to her vet's office, like walking out her back door, and just across a little bit of grass and some trees. And there's like a Rite Aid over there, like a, you know, Rite Aid drugstore, and a liquor store, and like a Dunkin' Donuts. She has a food truck like in that area too. She can literally walk to like a taco truck. I mean, you know, where I live, that is just not feasible, you know? Like I said, she's got a 2.5-year-old. So things, you know, things aren't quite the same as they've always been, you know, life changes and stuff like that, you know, and she's doing this all on her own at the moment because her husband is deployed. And, you know, and his presence is missed very, very, very much. So, but we DoorDashed a lot of food. I got to eat Indian food, which I love and don't get to eat very often. We do have Indian restaurants here, but my husband's not a big fan, so we don't, you know, I'm not gonna go by myself, and I don't really have any other friends that I think like Indian food. I don't know. I don't go out to eat with a whole lot of other people anyway. So we did that one night because she asked me what I wanted, and that was what I wanted. So a couple products that I don't think I've used on my channel, but I've had them since last year, and I do use them from time to time, especially if I do my makeup and then I film. These products here from Tarte. It's the Shape Tape Glow Wand and the Shape Tape Glow Powder. So what you kind of do is I like to put a little bit like right here. I probably have gone too much. I'm gonna use this, I cleaned up the stippling brush, and I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. So me and my friend, I don't play games with like a lot of people, like board games, but it's something my friend and a lot of her friends really enjoy doing. Now granted, me and my friend Kim, our thing is Monopoly. We have been playing Monopoly since we were like kids. And so we always try to have like a couple rounds of Monopoly when we visit. We actually didn't get to this visit, but we did play some other games. See, that just adds a really nice glow. I'm gonna use a little bit of the powder as well. I really find that the two products, it's kind of hard to go overboard. But I don't, you know, I do go kind of with a light hand anyway. But they're just really, really pretty. You know, they just add a really, really, really nice glow. And I do really hate the packaging of this. I think it's like really cheap looking for a product that costs like nearly $30. I think the packaging is horrible, but just a little bit of glow. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of powder, and this is something I've had for a while that I haven't really used in a while. It's the Revlon Photo Ready translucent powder. So I'm just gonna kind of go in and kind of set some stuff down. She had some of her friends come over one night. So she said to one of her friends, bring over one of your cat games. So we ended up playing this game. I don't know how popular of a game it is if you're like a gamer, like a board gamer, but it's called Cat Isle, and it was a little complicated, but by the end of the game, I had gotten pretty good. I'd figured it out anyway, but I really could use the second chance because I really did a lot of learning through the game. But yeah, they bared with me. They all knew what they were doing. But that was fun. And then we like to play like Phase 10 and Skip-Bo. I had not played Skip-Bo in like forever, so I had to kind of like relearn. And I had like a really hard time like relearning the game for some reason. I don't know, my brain was just not working for me. Then she taught me this other game. It's another card game. It's called The Crowns, and it's kind of like gin, rummy, but a little bit different. It was really fun. So we played that kind of like every night. So I'm gonna go back in and line like my waterline with more of this liner, and then we'll finish off the eye look and move on to lips. So she bought a condo, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. And the weather up there, let me just say, it was it was pretty warm. It was pretty warm. It was definitely warmer than it was years ago. I mean, the air still didn't quite feel like it does here in Tennessee, but it was pretty warm for up there. I swim in the same lake that I grew up swimming in. I had my water shoes, and it's a good thing because I've been very spoiled with like a pool. Even though I literally grew up swimming in this lake. Never wore water shoes, didn't care about anything touching my feet. Of course, being older, that's a little different. I'm a little bit more skittish of things like that. So I had my water shoes and, kind of waded in the water a little bit. Well, when we were at her house, she was like, oh, we have a pool, and I've never been to it. I was like, you have never been to the pool at your complex. Like, I was like, I would be there every day. Like, every day I could anyway. So she got to experience her pool for the first time, and it was really nice. So we spent a few hours doing that one day. That's like not the best for the waterline just because of the way you apply it, but it is a really good eyeliner though. So I want to go into this shade right here, Cube, for like under my brow bone, and I don't know exactly how good it's gonna be, but we will try it. It's like a white shade with like a little bit of a pinkish sheen, and I don't really know if it's gonna be the best. That's pretty, yeah, I'm digging that. So like I said, my mother-in-law passed away, so my husband's mother passed away, and and he's doing fine, it's that kind of thing. She lived a full life, passed away peacefully at home, wasn't incredibly sick, she was really very, very healthy her whole life, I'm gonna go back over my brows a little bit. It really was the epitome of, natural causes. So he's doing just fine. There we go. That's a little bit better. I don't love the brow product, and I don't love the concealer either. So I don't, my makeup isn't quite, like on point for me, but it's definitely not like horrible. So I need something for my inner corner. Really just kind of trying to stay in the palette. I think I'm gonna warm up my crease a little bit with this shade right here. I knew I would end up using that shade. So I'm gonna use that same shade to kind of blend under my eyes as well, just to kind of smooth out where I messed up my eyeliner just a little bit. So when I was at the camp, this is not an experience that I have a lot, but because her parents were up there and then she was there and she had her child and everything, the space in the camper was a little bit tight. So I slept out in a tent. Now you don't have to feel bad for me because literally it's a tent you can literally stand up in. It was huge with an air mattress in it. So I was comfortable, but I did spend a couple nights in a tent. I think I'm gonna go back into the shade Cube for my inner corners. Of course, I'm gonna wet my brush. So yeah, I'm excited to get back into the groove of filming and all that kind of thing. I did not visit any Dollar Trees up there. She actually said the one that was closest to her house was not good at all. Now it's crazy because, and maybe this is true, 20 years ago when I left New England, but I did not ever remember seeing a Dollar Tree till I moved down here. So they either just started getting them kind of after I left, or they were always there and I never knew. Happy with the look, I'm gonna now move on with the lips. So this was something I'd said I really didn't use and I hung on to it because I thought I might could use it. It is this lip liner, this Lipstick Queen brand lip liner in the shade Nude. So we are gonna use that today. So I'd always had this idea that, if I could ever get to where I have more time or just a little bit of a freer lifestyle, with performing has kept me where I'm living, because it's like one of the very few places I can do what I do. I don't love the color of this, honestly, like now that it's on my lips. I don't know what it is. I'm just so picky with my lip liner color. I don't know why. So this was a recent addition to my makeup collection. I got this from Influencer. It's the NYX This Is Milky Gloss. The shade is Milk the Cocoa, and really have not used it very much other than to try it out for like the reviews that you have to write kind of a thing. So I figured we would use it today. But yeah, I always had this idea that eventually I would get a camper back up at the campground and spend summers up there, or, I don't know. And it's still definitely not out of the question. It's always a possibility. I have always wanted, like, not a house on the lake, but like I'm talking like a modest place. Like when I say modest, I mean like a 900 square foot little cottage with like a porch or screened-in porch overlooking a really pretty spot on the lake. And there are times I go back and forth, like I really don't want it in New Hampshire, even though I love New Hampshire. they have like 9 months of winter, you know, and the summer is kind of short compared to like here in Tennessee. So I've gone back and forth with just like getting something here, you know, and something that, you know, we can let friends use or we can say they were friends, but yet we could also still technically like drive to work and, you know, enjoy it, you know, more times out of the year. So I don't know, we'll just kind of see. Definitely a dream of mine to be by a lake or on a lake. Just don't know exactly how it is going to unfold. But I know if I keep my sights set on it, it will unfold at some point when the time is right. So it's a really nice color. The lip liner is all wrong, but I thought this would look really pretty with this kind of, you know, kind of grungier kind of eye look. You know, this palette kind of has like those grungy tones in it. So thought this lip color would look really good with this eye look. So yeah, my hair is a mess. I need a trim desperately. But yeah, this is what we got because I've spent the last couple days flying and driving and traveling and all that kind of thing. So anyways, I am so glad to be back. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about my trip. Like I said, I've missed you guys. I'm glad to be back. And so I'll have some relevant content up here on the screen if you want to binge watch some of my content. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. It does help me and my channel out so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.